and welcome to our regular Arts, Entertainment, Parks, and LA River Committee hearing. I'm joined by Curran Price, and I believe David Rue is making his way up. We have a quorum, and therefore we will convene this meeting. And I would like to start with speakers who have filled out multiple comment cards and public comment, and that is Wayne Spindler. So Wayne Spindler, if you could step forward, and you have 2 minutes for comments on the items and 1 minute for general public comment.
Okay, good. So, shout out to David Rue. So, let's see here, item 1, Parks Foundation indoor and outdoor basketball facilities. Oh, you're getting this from the Clippers. Yeah, okay, well, item 1 is definitely supported by Councilman Curran Price because the Clippers are going to build a new basketball facility and move to the city of Inglewood. And like the Rams and the Raiders and then the San Diego Chargers, when LA was negotiating with those teams, somehow Inglewood and Mayor Butts somehow beat us to the punch. So on behalf of Mayor Butts, we'd like to thank those inside sources at the City of Los Angeles and the City Attorney's Office for making it possible for the Inglewood Clippers to give you a couple of bucks as they make their way out the door from your corrupt city. And then, of course, you need more money for what? Cultural affairs. Nobody even knows what cultural affairs are. What is a cultural affair? You know, see, nobody even knows what it's just another bunch of nonsense. 3, the National Endowment for the Arts. Donald Trump, every Republican says they're going to defund it. Never happens. And they waste the money. Number 4, state-local partnerships. There are no state-local partnerships. You steal the money. You don't give it back. You fund it. You allocate it. And then your city attorney's office helps you cover up the federal and state crimes. So there is no partnership. And then, of course, expansion under the Ralph Parsons preschool. No, we don't need that. Send these kids, bus them to Ventura County where they can get a proper education, not in this corrupt city.
All right, thank you. And our next... your general comment.
Yes.
1 minute.
So we have our missing councilman, David Rue. He's missing a lot of meetings lately. I can't figure out why. He used to be on time for every meeting. See, it's called the shock factor. As you know, in 2002, he got arrested for attempted rape on an unconscious woman. And
sir, that's not on topic. It has to be on topic of arts, parks, and entertainment.
Yeah, he's a member of this committee. He's a council member who was charged with a felony for attempting to rape an unconscious woman.
Option to stay on topic.
You have a council member that
and you're choosing not to.
That chooses to go into an automobile and try to rape an unconscious woman, and you got him overseeing funds for kids.
Sir, you've been warned.
And funds for spouses.
So you forfeited your time.
Right. And you know,
you
guys don't allow criticism of your elected officials.
You're done. You're done. All right, and so our next speaker for general public comment, we have Sophia Klatzker here. Please welcome and
thank you.
Pleasure.
I'm Sophia Klatzker, the Executive Director of Arts for LA, and I'm here just to say thank you so much for your leadership, and that we're in the midst of Arts Month across the whole county, and in 9 days is the Arts Day LA in the city of Los Angeles. And we are celebrating what is going on in the city, but we're also going to be having delegate visits like we did last year. And so I wanted to just come here and say thank you. If you haven't already, you're going to be hearing from us about arranging those schedules, as well as for photos that we can display in the chamber. And there will also be, we hope that you'll be in the rotunda around 9:30, 9:45, because something spectacular is going to happen, and we want to make sure that everyone knows about it. But there's going to be... This is the dance. 9:30 on April 20th down in the Rotunda, right before the City Hall meeting. And so, yes, and thank you so much for your leadership.
Thank you, Sophia. And I will not elaborate on what that special event is going to be, although I will say this, it's never been done at City Hall before.
And it's going to be
It,
great.
it has never been done.
It's been done, but never at City
No,
Hall.
this, right, well, that's true.
That's
It's
true.
been done, but
That's true.
this particular event has never been done at LA City Hall. It is a first, and it will be at 9:30 on the 10th?
On the 20th.
On the 20th,
I think
yesterday
it's
was the 10th.
after the 10th now.
The
yeah.
20, it'll be on the 20th.
Yeah.
So thank you, we're looking forward
So
to it.
thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, colleagues, we're joined by our colleague David Rue. And without, what I'd like to do, colleagues, if receive and file item number 2. Without objection, we'll receive and file item number 2. Seeing as there's no objections, and I am going to recommend that we take items 3 through 7 on consent. 3 through 7 on consent. So moved, which leads us to item number 1. Mr. Morales, if you will please read into the record item number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 1 is the City Administrative Officer report relative to the gift agreement between the City, LA Clippers Foundation Incorporated, and the Los Angeles Parks Foundation relative to the indoor and outdoor basketball court improvements at various Department of Recreation and Parks facilities. And it includes on the agenda, Mr. Chairman, CEQA findings as detailed in the Board of Recreation and Parks Commissioners communication that is on file.
Thank you so much. We're joined by 2 distinguished gentlemen from Recreation and Parks. If you could please identify yourselves, and we can go from there.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, council members. AP Diaz, the Executive Officer and Chief of Staff for Recreation and Parks, and I'm joined by...
Joel Alvarez, Partnership Division, Recreation and Parks.
So, council members, we are very excited and pleased at Recreation and Parks, and on behalf of the entire city, to present to you for your consideration, approval and acceptance of what is the single largest donation ever received by the LA Department of Recreation and Parks, and I would gander maybe by even any other department, and that is a gift from the LA Clippers valued at $10 million, but is actually a $10 million gift to refurbish approximately 350 outdoor and indoor basketball courts in the city of Los Angeles. And when I say approximately 350, that's approximately every single outdoor and basketball court in our inventory. So this agreement was born out of a lot of negotiation and really sort of understanding what the Clippers wanted to accomplish for the city of Los Angeles as it pertains to recreation and the development of sport through basketball and health and wellness in the city of Los Angeles. Our staff worked very hard to inventory and to evaluate all of our basketball courts, indoor and outdoor, in the city of Los Angeles. And we developed a comprehensive citywide evaluation criteria for those courts. And the courts were basically given a grade of a A to C, which you have in your notes. So what that enabled us to do was to evaluate how much it would cost to repair those courts. Our approach to this refurbishment is going to be to start with the C courts because those need the most work and the most attention. There are C courts located throughout the entire city, so that's good. And what's great about this gift is it will impact every council district and every recreation center. A big component to the gift is the recognition for the LA Clippers, and it really was a collaborative effort between the Department of Recreation and Parks and the City of Los Angeles, and something that our commission approved, and you have copies of the renderings right in front of you. And it's a very tasteful, I would even almost say modest recognition of the Clippers, but what we have proposed to do is within all of the interior courts, so this will not apply to any of the exterior courts. There will be a court that will be designed and developed, and they will all be uniformed and matched, so you'll have some semblance of uniformity throughout the city. They will reflect the Department of Recreation and Parks, as well as our park motto, Park Proud LA. And then the center of the court will be uniquely branded to your individual rec centers, and then we'll have the name Clipper Community Court on the bottom. And will be in this sort of schematic of black and tan. On the outside courts, there will be no center court logo branding, so there won't be sort of this shocking thing that becomes apparent on the outside of the park and will retain some of its nice appearance, but you will have fresh outdoor courts. But the backboards on each side will be brand new and replaced, and they will carry this sort of the Park Proud LA Department of Recreation and Parks logo on one side, and then the Clippers name and their corporate logo on the other side. And those will appear at every outdoor basketball court. The indoor basketball courts will have brand new backboards, but they won't have that logoing because it will have already be there in the center. This is going to be a tri-party agreement with our LA Parks Foundation. So the LA Parks Foundation is going to manage the receipt of the funds from the Clippers. They're going to take care of managing, sort of essentially being the project manager, of course, in consultation with us and conforming to our city standards. But they are going to hire and use city-approved vendors and contractors that we already work with and manage the projects and start working on facilitating the payments and what will be accomplished. What's really great about this agreement, so it's a 10-year agreement, and that's the commitment that we've given them to have this branding and the court logo. But what's great about the commitment from the Clippers is that our plan and their plan is to accomplish this all in the next 3 years. So by the end of the next 3 years, all of those C grade courts will then be A grade courts, and they will all be equal across the city. So there won't be a better basketball court at, in one part of town and a lesser part at another one. They will all be equal to the same standard and will be sort of brand new and beautiful and shining. So that's in a nutshell the agreement, and happy to answer any questions or field anything you wanted to comment on.
Thank you. Joel, do you have anything to add? Or?
No, I think AP covered it pretty well.
Okay, thank you. So a few quick questions. What's the significance in the court grade of double C, double B, double A?
I think the grading for some of that was to look at courts that might need additions to the backboards as well as...
Okay, so it's both the ground and the
Correct.
backboards. Okay, makes sense. And so this is for an improvement for all of the basketball courts, as you mentioned, in Rec and Parks. And so eventually all of the B categories will be gotten to, and they'll even evaluate the A's?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So improved, starting with level of need, which is the C's.
Yes.
All right. This is wonderful. I want to thank the Clippers Foundation and Steve Ballmer and for this gift publicly, and thank you and the Parks Foundation for helping to effectuate this incredible gift. And it's my understanding that they're not writing checks; they're simply doing the improvements, and then the Parks Foundation will do the keeping of the receipts in the books.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
It's not like they're going to write this $10 million check and then we do the improvements, right? So it's not based on a reimbursement kind of thing.
No, they will be providing the. It's looking like it's going to be a 3-phase installment, and that the money will be provided at some sort of payment system quarterly ahead of time, so that the contractors and the work can be done.
The city-approved contractors.
Yes.
Okay. Terrific. And
Just to clarify, the agreement sets forth, just to expand on what AP said, the agreement sets forth there's a lump sum payment in the beginning, and then based on Rec and Parks needs, they will give advance notice to the foundation with the amount of work that will be done in the following quarter, and then the check will be written to cover the work be done in that coming quarter. So the money will come in before the work is done.
got it. Okay. And what is Rec and Parks' responsibility for ongoing maintenance of these improvements?
So it's really important to the department and, of course, to the Clippers to ensure that the receipt of such a large gift be properly maintained. Right now, we do not have a maintenance program specifically for basketball courts. I'm told in years past, decades ago, there was abundant funding to sort of address every particular type of field. So, of course, what we do is we always attend to and try to evaluate the courts with the greatest need. But since all of these courts will be refurbished and then starting from a brand new life cycle, what that's going to enable the department to do is give us about 2 to 3 years without having to go in and do significant maintenance or start doing the maintenance. So we believe for the next 2 to 3 years, once you get to the A status, you'll be good for 2 to 3 years. And then we will start, so that will free up some funding that we would have needed or we didn't have to address the C courts or the B courts to use in other facilities or other sports that need to be done. And then we will start looking at, how we, when we start framing our budget, maybe in 3 years down, allotting money that would go ahead for the maintenance of it. We've just looked at some preliminary numbers, anywhere from maybe $200,000 to $300,000 a year, but that's for all courts at one time. So we'll incorporate that into our budget, but right now we don't foresee that as a problem. We actually foresee it as an opportunity to free up some funding that we could then apply to other areas.
Have you identified which courts have already qualified for Prop K funding for being refurbished and how perhaps that funding could now be used for other purposes?
Yes, that's a good point. So there are a few courts that are already being built or currently in plans to be built with Prop K funding or some other type of funding. And those courts will continue on that funding path because it's already been secured and allotted. That'll just allow us to free up some. So, for instance, in Councilmember Blumenfield's district, we just opened up the Woodland Hills Recreation Center. That's obviously a brand new court. That one will not need to be touched. It will need to be slightly refurbished to add on this, center court logo. But some of that money that would have been then can go to perhaps a double C, that will require more funding to refurbish that than maybe a single B court. We believe that all the money will be needed to accomplish the task. So some of the money that would have come, let's say in another year or two, if we had wanted to go to Prop K to say, without this gift, okay, let's address this basketball court, absolutely. Now we won't need to put in a request. We could say, hey, let's focus on whatever you feel is a need for your district or another concern for the department.
Terrific. Mr. Price, I think you have.
Yeah, I just want to say how excited we are about this. We know that courts all over the city that need help are going to be refurbished, including those. But I'm concerned. I mean, $10 million is $10 million, and I know that there's an effort to get this work done as quickly as possible with existing vendors. But I think we should also try to lean on our existing vendors to encourage them to, to hire locally, to find out, how we can incorporate, one or two persons on the work crews, doing manual labor, whatever needs to be done. But we ought to try to figure out a way to work with the contractors, the existing contractors, to do that and to try to encourage as much diversity in that contracting as possible. Even to set some goals, some objectives that the board may wish to set in terms of, just how these contracting dollars are going to be spent. Great if we could also make sure that we're recycling some of these dollars here locally, as opposed to firms from Cucamonga coming in, doing the work, and then, heading back out of town.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a very good point, and I think that can be accomplished because the benefit that we will be already using city-approved contractors, which are local, but we can certainly talk to our park foundation. But I think it would also be a source of pride in those communities for the contractors to have relations to say, hey, well, ensure that you hire, this amount of people from the local community to come in, help build that court, and then that's a legacy. So I think that we can do that, and we'll definitely take that.
Let's take advantage of the targeted hiring initiative or initiative to try to make sure the local folks. And then finally, on Exhibit 1, page 4 of 14, there's a listing, item 88, South Park. We're excited about the South Park. We're doing some major renovations there, as you know. But it's got nothing for grade. Just curious why that one was left off, 88. Item 88.
There's an asterisk
Yeah,
by
yeah,
it.
it's no grade. I'm kind of curious what the special circumstance was.
I think that was most likely because the South Park is an existing project that is set for complete refurbishment, so it kind of felt like that Woodland Hills. That court is going to.
I think the Annenberg is doing that court.
Yeah, there are 3 courts right now that the Annenberg's Foundation has agreed to refurbish. And they are, and that was another significant gift for the city. So we don't want to dismiss or discount that. that will just add to the
What
inventory.
was the nature of that gift? How much money or how many courts did they commit to?
They did 3 courts. They did 3 courts in the city.
You know, this is exciting. I'm pleased with the work plan at least. I think it's very smart the way the grades have been given to the courts, indoor and outdoor. And I understand that they all are going to be touched, indoor and outdoor. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it's an indoor court, outdoor court, at one facility, they both are going to be touched up, correct?
That's correct. And it's, quite honestly, it's something we would not, there's no way we would be able to do this in 3 years for the entire basketball court fleet. So,
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Rue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I really want to thank the Clippers Foundation as well as Steve Ballmer for the generous award. And I love the fact that it's for all our courts. It's not just a specific court or a certain area, but it's citywide. So I really appreciate them for that. So quickly, so the $10 million donation. So it's the cost to refurbish all the courts, or
correct. Less than the ones that are currently already slated or perhaps have some Prop K funding, but yes, every single indoor and outdoor.
so you're not going to run out of money halfway or when you get to the A's?
No.
Okay. So another thing is, so the logos are going to go on all the courts, even the new courts?
Yes.
Okay. So does this, because I know I put in a motion a while back, which I know we're still working with your office on, regarding sponsorship protocols.
Yes.
So this does not, if a future donor comes to us, I don't know, a year from now, 10 years from now, and wants to make a donation, especially for basketball courts, we're not fixed to this type of recognition, right?
We're not fixed to this type of recognition. We would only be bound if it were a basketball court and they wanted to talk about court branding. We would be bound by this for 10 years. So we wouldn't be able to entertain a discussion about basketball logos on courts for 10 years.
Oh, okay. So even if someone else wanted to donate to a basketball court, they can't or for this branding, no one else could come in.
For this type of branding, correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 10 years from now or 10 years from 3 years from now?
10 years from now, from the execution, yeah.
So the Lakers miss out for 10 years, in other words.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And I would also I would be remiss if I did not, in addition, and thank you for mentioning the Ballmer family and the Clippers Foundation and the Clippers, which have just been fantastic. But also, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the leadership of our mayor on this particular project, who was instrumental in helping acquire this for the city and for your district. So I wanted to say thank you.
Thank
to
you.
him.
Yeah, kudos to Mayor Garcetti. Kudos to Connie and Steve Ballmer for this wonderful amenity that they're providing for kids across the city. So please give them that message.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. All right. So we have one comment card on this from Armando Herman. You have 1 minute. Item number 1.
So we're discussing a $10 million donation, but what about the Herman donation under the American Disability Act? It's a pending formula that I wish to give back to the city of Los Angeles.
So you have to stay on topic with the subject?
Yes, sir. The issue is a foundation, and I tend to, in time, provide a so-called various improvement of a donation.
The only matter before the committee is the Clippers Foundation
And
donation.
Since
today.
the Clippers do better than the Lakers lately because the Lakers can't pay for team players, they suck. The same way some of these elected officials are cocksuckers, not a part of the caucus, and they keep cocking with my fucking time like you, city attorney. Stop being an asshole and let me finish my point. 42 U.S.C. 1983, fuck you and Mike Fuhrer.
Yet another minute very well spent. All right, with that being said, item one, unless there are objections, we will move this item forward and accept this generous gift. Oh, we have something else? Okay, so the recommended action. All right. So we'll approve the recommendations of the CA report and the CEQA findings in the Board of Recreation and Parks Commission report as they pertain to item number 1, the Clippers gift agreement. Without objection, that'll be the order. All right, thank you so much. That concludes all the items on this agenda. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.